Hello, I'm Michelle, and welcome to LifeTalk. Today I'll be talking to you a little bit about how I got into the horror genre after writing children's stories. And a little bit later on this podcast, I'll be talking to you about a project that Ashley and I had to collaborate on during college, and that was a transmedia story. So, first off, I was in the early 90s, I started writing children's stories. And I liked it. Brought joy to children's faces, and they connected with the characters, and they wanted more stories, and I enjoyed doing that. But that part was put away for a while after the tragedy in my life for 3 or 4 years, and when I pulled my writing back out, I started writing, and I wanted to branch out into maybe a novel, so I needed some ideas to start with. Well, at that time, I owned a barbecue shop called Putt Putt's Barbecue, and my daughter was there helping me one day after school. So I kind of mentioned to her that I wanted to write a novel and maybe a series, but it does take a lot of work to do. And she's like, well, because she's really big into Twilight and stuff like that, which, I like the Twilight series also. But she said, well, I bet you can't top Twilight or Saw, I'm like, you don't think so? She was kidding around. But, so I pulled out a piece of paper and I started brainstorming, and then within 15 minutes, I had Riker's Point ready to go. And that helped me with the direction I wanted to go, and within probably 4 to 5 months, I had the bulk of my novel done, it's pretty quick for writing a novel. It was weird because I created the characters, and I had an antagonist, a protagonist, I had characters that the reader will connect with. There's twists, there's, just stuff in there that I don't know where it came from, because my characters took on their own life, and it's weird because, as I was writing this, I could see what they were doing, what they were thinking, what their next move was going to be. And, I didn't write from beginning to end. I have a tendency to write a little bit in the middle, a little bit towards the end, a little bit towards the beginning, and just fill in the holes. That's just, I don't know why I write that way. It's a little backwards, but it's just easier for me to do that. But, there's, within the horror genre, there's different elements you can do. There's creature features, there's slash and dash, there's torture horror. A lot of people don't like that genre. But I don't like reading scary books, and I don't like watching scary movies either. But I write in it, so that's strange. But anyway, it takes a lot of work with any writing that you're gonna do. And you've got to have that connection with the audience, with the characters. Otherwise, it's just gonna be boring, and they may not want to ever buy your work again, or read your work for free again. For that matter. But anyway, as I was writing the bulk of my stories, I'd be in the middle of the night, and these characters would be just talking to themselves. I'm like, oh, can you just wait a few more hours so I can get some sleep? But no, I'd get up in the middle of the night. I have my notepad right there, so I start writing the stuff, and I couldn't believe what I was writing on the paper. It was just gory and just demented, and I'd write a paragraph down, and I'm like, throw the covers over my head and just go away, go away, go away, go away, go away. It just, I wanted it out of my head. It was just so terrible. But I kept writing it until I finished it, and somehow I got through that. But I put it all together, and I start reading this stuff, I'll take bits and pieces when I was writing it, and I would read it to my kids and my family just to see if it made sense and stuff. But every time I'd read them a bulk of it, they're just like, "What is wrong with you? You're not crazy. Where's this coming from?" But I don't know I don't have an answer for that either. But so now when I look at my writing and I want to continue the series with Riker's Point, I I have to laugh because I'll write something that that the villain will do, and I gotta laugh because it's not real, and it's just funny to me for some reason. It's like, it's just crazy. It's I don't know. It's just weird. I guess horror genre is weird, so. But anyway, I started writing, putting it all together, and I had my mom edit the book, as she did with children's books. Of course, it's a bigger one to edit, but she did everything correct and stuff, and so I had to get it published. Of course, mainstream publishing, you send your stuff off and you get it back, rejected, unopened, So I started researching online, and, I didn't have the money to pay for print-on-demand books and stuff like that because, of course, they wanted a lot of money for a book. So I found self-publishing online, and so I was researching some of the companies, and I decided to go with one of them online, and it was good. It was a good experience, but you got to be aware of the pitfalls that are in that also. There's, they've got their editing services, and you can do their covers, and of course they want to charge outrageous prices for them. It's just crazy. So I had basically no money, and so I had to do it that route. So, my mom edited everything. I sent it in, did all that. And the book came back, and they had dropped words in there. They had misspells. They had, I don't know, some words that I didn't even put in there, and it didn't make sense. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to make me look dumb. Someone can look at my book and go, they couldn't even spell the word that, it wasn't a whole lot that was in there, but it was still in there, which was not in there when I submitted it. So, I contacted them and I asked them, why did this happen, And they said, well, when you send it through your stuff online, it's, we still got to retype it in the system and blah, blah, blah. And of course, they made the mistake. It's like, okay, then what's the point of me editing the entire thing or getting somebody to edit it and you're going to flub it up? That's, you need to be paying me for screwing up my project. But, of course, they don't want to hear about that. So, anyway, there's nothing I can do. It was already in print, and it was sent to Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, all these online bookstores and stuff, which, I guess Stephen King books will have mistakes in them also, but I was uncomfortable with it. And, but anyway, for a while, some of my books sold, and they didn't really have a marketing to it. I didn't know I had to market it myself and get it out there. I thought they were going to do that because if they market it, the more books they sell, the more money they make. But so it's still listed on Amazon, but there are no books in print. I can't even get a book in print myself because I gave all mine away searching for a screenwriter. There may be one out there, but I just got to find it because they stopped their end of production of printing books, but they went to ebooks for a couple years, and then I found out that they revamped their company, and the older clients that they had, they dropped. And it's like, okay, wait, you just started your company back up, but what happened to all of us that were here? Because I paid for ISBN numbers and stuff like that, um, to get it out there. Okay, well, so we have a book that we can no longer get, and now you're getting new clients underneath your new Vamp company because they want to charge for all these fees now, rather than it being a free process, which kind of left us older customers high and dry. So I'm not too happy with that end, but you just got to find the right publishing company, like Faith by Grace Publishing. They're not out to scam you. They're not out to charge you outrageous prices. If you want her to edit your stuff, it's going to be good quality. It's going to be, an honest system. The cover photos, she's going to put a lot of thought into it, or whoever she gets to do your book cover, they will go out and put their passion into it. Like I did a few covers for her, and I love photography. I mean, it wasn't my book. She asked me to do it, so sure, I I like taking pictures, and so I put my passion into it, hoping that the author will like my work. But it's with companies like that, that's the companies you want to go with, rather than these. You think they have tons of books out there that they have done, and really all they did was take your money, a lot of your money, and not putting any good quality into your book. They just left it all on your shoulders. So, if you want to publish a book, I would go with something like Faith by Grace Publishing and stuff like that, rather than the bigger internet free publishing sites out there, because they're out to scam you. So just be aware of that. Back to my horror novel, I wanted to progress it at this time when I had it in print form into film. And that's a hard area to get into. So I had to research screenwriters because I didn't know how to write scripts at that time. So I was sending my books off left and right, and I finally found someone, Jim O'Rear, and he's out in Tennessee, and he has written scripts for helped write scripts for bigger name movies that were out there. And he read my book, and he was excited about it. I mean, he accepted it, and he did a great job of screenwriting. I mean, it's just perfect, and I loved his work, and he does great work. So I had the script now. So now I had to find a independent film, and that's hard, because you don't know who was just there to say they want to do film and not really do it. But I found an independent film that's going to be filming hopefully soon, the next hopefully couple of months. They were working on a documentary at the time, and it took a little while, so I was next in line, and hopefully they're trying to get funding for it now, and hopefully soon they can start filming. And I'm excited about that. I know they'll do a great job. They do really, really great work. So fingers crossed that it's going to be soon. Anyway, so that portion of my horror writing began my passion in this genre, and it just comes natural when I want to write a story or a book or a film. It's just tragedies and pain and weird thoughts and all that. It just comes to me like nothing. I don't really have to think about it. It just flows out of my pen and onto the paper. So I can't really explain why it does that to me. I don't know, but all I can say, it's not me. But anyway, so that is how I came into writing into horror, and it was just an idea that was thrown out there, and it clicked. So that's how your writing can be. It could be a silly idea, and all of a sudden you got a great project. So no idea is stupid. Write it down, save it, because you never know when you may need it again. I write stuff down and go, oh, that's really terrible. I'm gonna throw it away. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna throw it away. Just shove it in here and in my file, and maybe I'll pull it back out and start a project and change it a little bit. So just keep all your ideas, and hopefully you can start up new projects in the future with it. So now on to the transmedia story that Ashley and I collaborated on in college. It was a little bit of a not a horror genre, but probably I guess it ended up being a creature feature, which Ashley and I didn't want it to go in that direction. But it's a project that we had to collaborate on with 5 classmates in college. And it was, okay, it was really, really difficult. I'm not going to lie. You had 2 people that were there other than Ashley and myself that took off and wanted to do their own stuff, not, allowing the rest of the group knowing what they wanted to do. And within a transmedia story, it's writing a story with different platforms with the digital technologies of today, like Twitter. You got Facebook. You've got your emails and blog systems. Wix.com sites where you can do media and stuff like that. You got to work those platforms to make your characters real, so that the audience or the reader, when they follow your story, they can, find their Twitter site or find their job site, or just follow the story along like they're actually doing this stuff. So we were given Dunwich Horror, which would be based out of Massachusetts. And we had to come up with something terrible has happened in the city, and we've got to find out why. So we had to create our characters and find, what is this that's terrorizing the place. And so Ashley came up with Chloe Reed, which was a newspaper reporter, and I came up with Victoria Stromberg, which is a detective. And there was other 2 characters that they came up with that kind of fell flat within the story. It's just they did not enough work. It was just, their end, they just did a simple thing and threw it in there and said, here's our story. And Ashley and myself was like, oh, no, this, if we want to make a story, we need to make it good. And we need to make our characters connect. We need to, get off the kindergarten level and start doing college level work. You're here for a writing degree, so write, put some thought into it. Don't just, oh, well, I shot you, bang, bang, you're dead. Okay, well, why did that happen? How did that happen? How did these 2 meet? You've got to have detail. And they weren't wanting to put the detail in it, and if they wanted their ideas, they wouldn't discuss it with the group and collaborate and have a consensus about it, and it would leave Ashley and myself in the dark of, where's the story going? What are y'all doing? Why are you going this direction? Why can't, you need to bring it to the table and let's all discuss it. They had our phone numbers, they had our emails, they had our college website, we had a platform where we can discuss ideas, share files, but they wanted to keep it to themselves. And it's like, okay. Now, that's only 4 people I talked about. The other one, we'll just call him Joe. Joe, where are you? He never showed up. So it's like, okay, I guess maybe he was lost. We were trying to connect with him. Like, okay, you have a job to do as well within the story. What are you going to do? I hear crickets. Not a response. Later on, he said he was just lost, but he didn't put the effort into asking questions and trying to find out what was going on so he could do the work. So, I don't know. So it ended up being Ashley and myself. We were just like, okay, you know what? We're going to have our characters connect. Hopefully, we will meet our story on down the road and it's going to make sense, because we had no idea what the other 2 were doing with their end. They were not sharing what their character's going to do, what they were thinking, what they wanted done within the story. So it just made it really hard to collaborate and get ideas and get it correct and make it make sense. So Ashley and I we worked hard on it, and Chloe Reed was the newspaper reporter, and Ashley did a website that had her newspaper, like you get on there and there's actual news stories of other things, and she worked hard on that. We had Victoria and Chloe Reed had phone calls together where they called each other and asked each other questions, so it gives the audience a little bit more details. You can also, the audience can go and listen to these phone calls. They can read the interviews that are on Victoria Stromberg's website, her detective agency website as well. There's links to 911 calls that I did about the events that was happening in Dunwich. I took photos that would relate to the 911 calls. We put them together. Just stuff like that, just to make it real. And Victoria and Chloe had a connection, and a real strong connection. And I think that helped the story stay a little bit strong. And I want to take these characters and I want to progress them also in future projects. And because they were just great together. They clicked for me, and Ashley did a great job of creating her character. And so you can get on this site and go through the story, and there'll be some spots you'll be going, okay, what is that? I can't give it away because I'll give away the story, but Ashley, you know what I'm talking about. It was, at least draw it with some matte pencils or something and make it look a little bit better than what you did. But no, Ashley didn't do it, but it was someone else. But she knows what I'm talking about. When you come across it, you may too. But I don't know. It was just, some work in there was just, it was not college level, and not a lot of thought put into it after me and Ashley has done kind of detailed work on our end, and they just didn't pull through with the group. So, we, like Ashley said in her last podcast, we got a B in it, which I think Ashley and myself got an A++ on our work, but it's a group effort. And Joe, where are you? Are you still here? Joe, I don't know. There was a complaint made within the group, and which was justified because it was just so terrible. It was just really bad. But the instructors at the college, I don't think, handled it very well. They just left us pretty much to hang dry, and we had to figure this out on our own. And even though our deadline's coming up, you have deadlines left and right with Full Sail. That it's an advanced online classes. I'm sure it's like that in campus also, but you basically got to teach yourself, because if you have a question you want to send in to the instructor, it takes them a while to get your answer back. Well, by the time you get your answer back, you have 30 minutes to get your work done and turn it in before you get an F. So anyway, the instructor didn't really address the severe problems we were having with our transmedia story. And it almost led into Ashley dropping out of college, which it's a tough feeling, and I was feeling bad for her on this end, but we live so far away. I was trying to give her positive comments, and stay in there, and but it did make you want to quit, throw your hands up, say, what, this is not working. The instructors aren't helping. Some of the classmates are just terrible, and I'm gonna flunk out because of them. But I'm glad Ashley hung in there and continued her journey through college and completed it. So good points on her for sticking it out. But this transmedia story, let me make sure I got the link right. I'm going to try and put it on the screen. But it's dunwichtruth.blogspot.com. You put that into your browser. You may have to put the HTTP : before it, but Dunwich, DUNWICH, and then truth.blogspot.com. Click on that link, and it will bring you to a blog spot. There'll be a column on the right-hand side. Scroll down to where it says February, because you don't want to start from the top of the blog spot. You don't want to start there, because then you'll be at the end of the story. It's just weird how this you have to start from the bottom up. The latest date. That way it starts at the very beginning of the story. Scroll down to February, and you'll find where the story starts. And then you can start branching off from there. It'll give you Chloe Reed's take on her side of the story. It'll give you Mary with her side of the story. It's just, they'll have links on there where you go to Chloe Reed's site, and there'll be her email address. You can write to her. It will link. It will show links of Victoria and Chloe, how they connected. It will link the 911 calls. It will link the interview voice calls of Chloe and Victoria. It will link pictures of Dunwich, of the town, of things that's happened. It will link the Twitter sites, as the events happen. It's just follow it on up, and hopefully you won't get lost in there. But it's interesting. It turned out okay. Wish we would have had better quality from some of the other classmates. But I can't help that. What's done is done. But we got some great characters out of it. Victoria and Chloe are going to hopefully soon start another project. So I really enjoyed those two characters together, and I hope you'll enjoy the transmedia stories as well. It's free. Just click on it and head that way, and I hope you like it. If you have questions, comments about it, please feel free to put them in on the LifeTalk face page or in the comments on the podcasts. With all these podcasts, you're welcome to ask questions so we can answer them in another podcast. Put some comments in there. Please, click on a podcast right there on the left-hand side below the video there. Click the subscribe button. Excuse me, my mouth is getting a little dry. The subscribe button, and click on it. That way when we add new podcasts, it'll go directly into your email, you'll be informed that LifeTalk has added a new episode of their podcast. That way you don't have to search all the time. Did they put one up yet? Just click on it. It'll be easier for you in the long run. But thank you for joining us with these podcasts, and I enjoy doing them as well, Ashley. And please leave comments and questions, and thank you for joining us again.